Hi students, before starting a .NET demo lecture, first of all I am just introduce about myself. I am a BE computer having 7 years of experience on .NET technology. Currently I am working as a tech lead in one of the leading software firm. Then I am also working as a .NET consultant in SmartTech Solution and MPCL Private Limited. I am also teaching .NET in colleges as well as in institute. Then I am also handling a freelancing .NET projects, and I am also running a bond venture resourcing placement. So all my students getting the job after this course. Let's discuss about .NET architecture. A .NET is not an application, it's not a language, it's a technology developed by Microsoft. And using this technology we can create a number of applications. The applications can be console based application, window based application and web based application. Let's understand what is the meaning of console based application. The console based application means what? We are getting the output in a form of black screen. It is same like your DOS prompt output. This output doesn't contain any user interface, no checkbox, no text box. It's a pure black screen output. Window application means it's a standalone application. It's a machine to machine application, means you have to install your software on that particular machine. And the web application means what? Here we are creating a dynamic websites. So ASP.NET will allow you to create a dynamic websites. Let's start with when to use console, window and web based application. The console based application used in socket programming. A socket programming means what? It's a machine to machine communication. Basically in .NET, if there is a requirement like doing a socket programming, then they will go for console based application because it's not containing any user interface. Let's start with one example for window based application and web based application. There is a one bank called XYZ Bank. They come and say, create one banking software for me. The requirement is like this: a bank having only one branch and one branch having only one PC. So here I go for window based application. I create one software called xyzbank.exe. I install my software on that particular machine and my software running fine. Now my target is also achieved. After some time, bank requirement get changed. Now bank having a 10 branch and 10 branch having a 10 machine each, and locations are also different. So in this case I have 100 machines. It is not possible for me to install my xyzbank.exe everywhere. So here I go for ASP.NET website. I create one website called xyzbank.com. So all the 100 machine user using their browser and just typing a URL http://xyzbank.com. So here my requirement get achieved. If I change something, then I just change into my xyzbank.com server. So if the number of client is less, then go for window based application, and if the number of client is more, then go for web based application. So console based application is used for socket programming, window based application used for a standalone application, and web based application used for creating dynamic websites. Let's move back to our architecture. As I said, .NET is a technology, and using this technology we can create a number of applications like console, window and web. We already discussed about what is a console and what is a window and web. Now .NET also support a number of languages like C#, VB, JavaScript. Now many students are confused, what is a C#.NET, what is a VB.NET, what is a ASP.NET. So first of all, just clear this. If I choose console or a window as an application, and if I choose C Sharp as a language, then it's become a C Sharp .NET. If I choose console or a window as an application and VB as a language, then it's become a VB.NET. If I choose web as a application and C Sharp as a language, so it's become a ASP.NET in C Sharp. If I choose web as a application and VB as a language, then it's become a ASP.NET in VB. So depending on your application, we have to just change the languages. Understand the difference between the technology, applications and language. The languages means C, C++, C Sharp, VB. The applications mean console, window, web, mobile, and the technologies means .NET, Java, Oracle. So don't confuse between these three. We already discussed .NET is a technology. Now let's discuss about why .NET come in the market. In 99, there were a VB 6.0 and ASP. This is the applications of Microsoft. VB 6.0 is specifically for Windows-based application and ASP is for web-based application. There was a Java. A Java is again a technology of Sun. There were a heavy competition between VB 6.0, ASP and Java. Because of Java, a market of VB 6.0 and ASP were continuously down. That's why Microsoft released a first version of .NET in 99 called a beta version. After that they are releasing 1.0, 1.1, 2.0, 3.0, 3.5 and recently they are releasing 4.0. This is we are calling a .NET frameworks or .NET versions. Let's discuss about a .NET frameworks in detail. Beta version 1.0, 1.1, 2.0 include a number of applications. We already discussed about console, window and web, but apart from this there are web services and class libraries. This is also applications of .NET. After that .NET released an advanced .NET called 3.0, 3.5 and 4.0. In this framework we have a WPF, that is a Windows Presentation Foundation. Then WCF, it's a Windows Communication Flow. Then Silverlight, LinQ, that is a Language Integrated Query, and MVC, it's a Model View and Controller. Basically WPF is the replacement of Windows based application. WCF is a replacement of your web services. Silverlight is an alternative for ASP.NET. In that you can create a dynamic websites at client side. A language integrated query means we are querying against different data sources, and the MVC is again an alternative of your ASP.NET websites. Start with the .NET definition or .NET framework. .NET is a combination of CLR and class library or base classes. CLR stand for Common Language Runtime. Now before starting any program, first of all we have to understand who will execute this program or who will take care of this program. So let's start with one example. I have a one integer variable I. This is in C Sharp, and suppose I declare a integer variable in VB, deem I as a integer. This is we are calling a source code. Now the common language runtime functionality is what? It is convert your source code into a MSL code. MSL stand for Microsoft Intermediate Language. .NET is a language independent. Now why? Because if I type a code in C sharp or if I type a code in VB, it is automatically convert into MSIL. Who will convert this? Your CLR. The logic behind it is what? The MSIL is itself is the language of .NET. This is the internal language of .NET. If it is a language, then it's containing all the things like int32, character, single, if, else, switch. So this is the internal language of .NET. Now suppose I type a code in C sharp like int I semicolon. Now this integer variable is mapped with MSIL integer variable and it's become a C sharp .NET. If VB integer variable is mapped with MSIL integer variable, then it's become a VB.NET. In the market, new language come called XYZ, and declaration of integer variable is like this: int I colon. Now .NET say you design a new language XYZ. Okay. Now map your language specification with my language specification. So here, for example, this integer I variable is mapped with MSIL integer variable, and this XYZ language become XYZ.NET. So every language is mapping their common specification available in MSIL and it's become a .NET language. Up to 45 languages .NET support because of this logic. So this task is performed by your common language runtime. So that's why .NET is a language independent. After converting into MSIL, with the help of just-in-time compiler, your MSIL code convert into a native or machine code. The format is .exe stand for executable output and DLL stand for dynamic link library. So again take a two-step process. Your source code get converted into a MSIL and MSIL get converted into a native or machine code with the help of JIT compiler. Now if you split this common language runtime, this common language for all the language, and the runtime means execution. So this is the functionality of your common language runtime. Next one is class library or base classes. It's a pre-compiled libraries of .NET. Means if I want to use cin, cout, scanf, printf in my C and C++, then first of all I have to include some header files like stdio.h and conio.h. The same concept used here. If I want to use some database, then I have to import one DLL call using system.data.sql client. If I want to use some threading based application, then I have to install or I have to import using system.threading. So .NET is a combination of your common language runtime and class library. Basically CLR is the heart of .NET framework. It will provide a runtime environment to your application. It will handle your code execution, and the class library or base classes are the supportive libraries. This will help you to create an application. We already discussed the first feature of .NET is it is a language independent. The next feature is automatic memory management. Now before this, first of all we discuss about memory management in C++ and VB 6.0. Suppose I create one object, and after that object I will deallocate the memory of that object using obj is equal to null in C++ and obj is equal to nothing in VB 6.0. Now suppose I have 1,000 objects. Now in this case I have to explicitly write down this code: obj is equal to nothing and obj is equal to null. Now every time I have to write down this code. So this is a problem, because if I forget something or if I forget to deallocate one object, now again what happen? The memory is increased and the CPU utilization is increased. So .NET solve this problem. .NET memory management is performed by garbage collector. Normally it is called a GC. Now what happened? Let's see. If I have an object 1, 2 and 3, your garbage collector is continuously searches unused or unreferenced object. If it is find out unused or unreferenced object, then it immediately deallocate the memory of that object. The time is not specified. It is start by common language runtime. So the memory is handled by automatically, and that's why it's a automatic memory management. In C++ and VB 6.0, this is the disadvantage of this language, but .NET solves this problem using a garbage collector. So we don't take care about your memory management. This is handled by garbage collector. Let's start with what I cover in .NET syllabus. First I start .NET architecture. We already seen some concept of .NET architecture like CLR, class library, garbage collector, MSIL. Then we move to C# architecture. Here we learn a C# language. After this we will move to object-oriented programming. In the middle of object-oriented programming, we will start one project. This is a Windows-based application project. Here we design the Windows-based user interface and database design. After that, we will move to Windows-based application and communicate with database using a ADO.NET libraries. Here, normally all the classes taking a one-tier architecture, but we will cover two-tier as well as three-tier architecture because in the company everyone using a two-tier and three-tier. So we will cover here. Then we will move to very important concept called ASP.NET with Ajax. Here also we start one websites called ASP.NET websites. After that we will cover web services and class library. In the class library you are able to design .dll files. This is a 1.1 and 2.0 syllabus. Then we will move to advanced.NET. In advanced.NET I will cover LinQ, that is a language integrated query. Then WPF is a Windows presentation foundation. It's a replacement of Windows based application. Then WCF is a Windows communication flow. Again it is a replacement of your web service. Then we'll move to Silverlight and MVC. This is also alternative for ASP.NET websites. So this is a complete syllabus of .NET which I cover.